messy. So I gotta fix the wheel cylinder on this wheel. As I've said before, I've already replaced all the, or rebuilt the wheel cylinders on the other 3 wheels, but didn't have enough wheel cylinder kits to fix this one. So I gotta fix it because I know it leaks, and we'll do the master brake cylinder. But to get started on this, you're gonna have to take your wheel off, and you gotta take off your cool fancy little wheel spinner thingy, if you have it. Then take out your new fancy lug nuts and all that good stuff. Alright, after you get your wheel off, you don't want to get your dust cover off. And then somewhere in here, they may not have a 2 legs on the pin anymore to grab, but or to have to straighten out. But oh, I guess 1.5 legs. It's got a broken leg there. Anyways, pull out your pin. Then you take off your little. I think that's just your kind of like a locker that your pin holds. Keeps this nut from coming off. That seemed excessively loose. Because I don't think I actually ever took this wheel off on this side, but I don't remember. Then give it a wiggle and a shake. Pull out your wheel bearing. And most of the time they come off. There we go. Brake shoes look pretty good on this side. Alright, well, full of spider webs and cobwebs, but not too bad. Drum looks pretty good. Actually looks like it's probably been turned, maybe. I don't know. Okay, anyways, so this wheel cylinder was leaking pretty bad. Could have sealed itself, but it doesn't matter. I got the new cups and spring for it, so we'll go ahead and pull that apart and make sure it doesn't start leaking, because we don't want to lose our brakes. I don't think that grease there is probably any good anymore. Probably could use some new shocks too. Untie rod. Well, anyways, this is just to get the brakes going, so we'll address that other stuff as we go. Okay, well, when taking your brakes apart, always make sure you know how they go. I just take them apart little by little. So, a lot of new brakes, or drums anyways, they have like a little weird tab thing, that little like nail looking thing you stick through. Now these ones here have this weird spring thing. I'm not going to be able to successfully do it on camera, but get my camera unzoomed here. I just take a Phillips screwdriver, stick in it, and then I can push the spring out the back, which on the other side through the drum is this little clippy thing you stick on there, and that's what holds it all together. So I just take a screwdriver, shove it in there. I can push this completely through, and then I can reach around and pull that little thing off, and then you're free. So now if you do everything right and you just slowly take everything apart and you push those without disturbing all this whole thing will just come off in a unit where you don't have to do too much spring stretching and all that stuff. And these are supposed to be self-adjusting brakes. That's the little weird cables for, but I don't actually know how they work, so I'm not gonna make myself look like a fool and tell you something I don't really know. To get these things out can be a trick. So the best way I do it is I just take a rag and stick on one side and tap on the other lightly with a small hammer, and I'll usually shoot out of there. But don't stick your hand or eyeballs or anything in there, because they can fly right through. In fact, it looks like that one might be inching his way out as we speak, which is fine with me. Make sure you have yourself a little jar to catch all this stuff, because brake fluid will eat concrete. We grab that and then we'll pull that cup out of there. Okay, so once you get yourself a little container, that black rubber thing down there is the cup. And there's a cup on each side. So I haven't gotten this piston here seized up, so that's probably why the front brake wasn't working very well on this side. Anyway, so you get your cups out of there, the pistons out of there, and then they make a little hone tool that you can hone it with, but I won't use that piece, but I usually just use some Scotch-Brite and brake clean and just clean it up if it's not real bad. If it's really pitted though, I just replaced the whole wheel cylinder, so I'll have to see what this one looks like. I was lucky, none of them were actually pitted, they were just corroded and seized up from sitting, so I was able to rebuild them all, none of them leaked, and like I said, they didn't have any more cups in stock, which I guess I could show. These are the new ones here. So they're just these rubber cups. They go in like this because the spring rides on this side and the flat side pushes the piston, so the dished side always goes inside to the inside. So like that, and then you got your spring down there. But anyways, I'm about to take a hammer or something and get that punched out and get it cleaned up, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, with both cups out, I just give myself a piece of Scotch-Brite and wrap it on my finger, and then I just go in there and scrub her out real good. Wasn't too seized up, but seized up enough. And then I can kind of feel with my finger that there's no pits or anything serious in there. So, alright, I'll get that cleaned up and we'll get her back together. Okay, after you get your wheel cylinder cleaned to satisfactory, I already had these soaking in some new fresh brake fluid. Just want to stick them back in there like that. I just get them nice and started, kind of flush in there. Then you want to take your spring, shove him back in there. Get your other one going. I just kind of start working them in with my fingers. Make sure you keep everything really clean. And then those are in. The next thing you're gonna have to do is clean up the pistons so they're nice and smooth and they don't have corrosion on them. Pretty clean. But they need a little bit more cleaning done to them. Now, I recommend if you can get new pistons to get them, but I couldn't get the new pistons, only the cups. Okay, so they're both in there. You don't want to push them in too far or anything like that because there's no fluid or anything in there, and you don't want to get your cup all jammed up and weird and all that good stuff. So you get them back in there, and then you take your whole little brake assembly and you just stick them back on and have your little springs ready to push back in and all that good stuff. And oh, actually first you want to put your dust covers back on. That's the first thing you want to do. I suppose if in a pinch, if you didn't have a dust cover, it probably wouldn't totally destroy it, but it would be something you might want to get on it as soon as you can, because it keeps all that crap and brake dust and everything else out from getting in there and hurting anything. So, alright, now you're ready to put your brake assembly back together. Okay, after you get your brake assembly on, you push your little springs back in and stick your clips on the other side. And then grab your self-adjusting cable, and it actually has to wrap around this weird little metal thing here. That little pulley looking thing there. And then grab yourself a pair of pliers because it's going to be spring. And stick them over that, just like that. So it goes through a little metal horseshoe looking thingy and connects down there. And then somehow or another all this stuff self-adjusts. I am not a brake expert, so I'm not even going to pretend like I know anything about how that works, because I do not know. And then you might want to get yourself some vice grips so you can actually hang on to this thing. That's got to go on that little post. And this one right here has got to go on. I'm going to get those on, and we almost got this guy built. Well, thankfully when I did my lug nut lug bolt conversion on my AMX, I saved all my wheel studs here, and I think they're the same as those, so I'm actually going to bash out this bad one real quick and see if I can't replace it. It'd be nice to just have it replaced where I don't have to worry about it again until I have to. Well, he's in there. we go. There's where it was messed up there. Look a touch bit different. But it should be okay. Alright, well, basically it goes in the same way. You can get it started so you don't have to bash on your drum like I was doing. So you can kind of get it in there and tap it in there and as good as you can, and you can use the lug nut to suck it up the rest of the way. So get that in there, and it looks like I gotta get my camera on the charger because it is flashing at me that it's going dead. Okay, well, we successfully got this one out. Put one off the AMX, which it sticks out about a 1/16 furthermore, but should be fine. So as far as tightening the hub nut, you know, a bunch of people will tell you a bunch of different things. I usually just tighten it down pretty hard with a pair of channel locks, and then I back it off right until it gets loose again, and then I just kind of snug it up real lightly. I mean, just probably, you know, go hand tight and then, you know, maybe give it a snug, but you don't want it too tight. But it spins free, it's just dragging on those brakes a little bit. And then this thing I didn't film because I had to charge my camera here for a little bit was I packed wheel bearings and put grease back in there and everything too. So that's all done. Next thing I gotta do is bench bleed the new brake cylinder, and then we can get that switched out, get some brakes bled. Alright, well, you gotta bench bleed your master brake cylinder, because if you don't, you may as well just pretend like you're not gonna ever have brakes, because I don't even know if it's possible to bleed these if you don't bench bleed them. But I don't know. I've never tried to not bench bleed them. Now, according to the directions on this one, we're supposed to fill it up. Take our little hoopties off here. And supposedly, fluid is supposed to start coming out, but you know, I've never actually done that. I know some of them you can get with the little bendies on them that you stick in and they feed back into each other, but oh, maybe this one's starting to go now. Nope, not yet. Crazy. I don't know if that's doing anything or just making a mess. Well, anyways. This one over here is actually running out, but anyways, you do that and then you're supposed to push on the brake bleeder with something. Let me get better set up here. Anyways, you get it locked on something and you get a screwdriver or something and shove in there. And then you're only supposed to push it a little bit. Then you'll start getting your air and stuff out of it. So it's gonna take a little bit. I'll bring you back when I got her all bench bled. Alright, well there's basically just 2 bolts that hold this guy on there. And then your 2 brake lines, so I'll get those ripped out. I got this all bled out. You know it's all bled when you push on it and you don't have any bubbles or anything anymore. And I kind of push on it fast and and everything, and just make sure I don't have any more bubbles sitting anywhere. So no more bubbles, so that should be all bench bled. Alright, after you get that plucked out of there, you gotta get your actuator rod out of the old one. You see that weird little 4-prong thing? Once you shove that in there, it's stuck in there. I had to take the snap ring and all that stuff out of this old one to get her out. But and then the new one came with a new boot, but it just feels like real brittle. It's really weird feeling. You don't even feel rubber. This one here is still good and feels a lot rubbier and a little dirty inside, but feels a lot better. So I'm gonna clean this one up, jam this in there, throw the top on there, slam it back in the car, and get to bleeding some brakes. Okay, after you get that all in there and tightened up, the hard part starts. You gotta go around and start bleeding, but you need to bleed. You need to start with the furthest wheel away, which is the rear passenger, and then do the other rear wheel, and then do the front passenger, and then do the driver's side front. And don't let your fluid run out. So I'm gonna get these bleds. I'm gonna spare you watching me struggle on doing that stuff. So as soon as I get them bled, we'll take a look. Alright, we got the brake cylinder, master cylinder all in, and it was a real nightmare to bleed all the brakes, but they're all bled. I got to clean up my floor a little bit. This side here, which I already rebuilt, it was really difficult to bleed, but finally got it bled, and everything went accordingly like it should. But got her all bled. We got brakes now, so the next project under the hood's going to be the carburetor, but we'll have to wait for a day where it's not snowing and I can have a bunch of gas fumes that I can leach out of the garage so I don't die or something from the fumes. So alright, well, appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next video.